Conventionally, social realism dramas use many long shots to connote emotion to be convincing and realistic as well as hard-hitting. The long shot portrays the character's feelings in Fish Tank of loneliness and isolation, possibly the feeling of being marginalised in society. There's also a number of long shots to establish a certain setting of council housing estates in high-rise flats in urban areas, which are the most conventional settings used in British social realist films. Furthermore, the viewer will then instantly be able to identify the setting as being typical for our genre and will recognise it as a key setting. Similarly, we use a long shot of our main protagonist to connote his isolation. Through this long shot, you are able to identify the city to connote an urban environment, which is a stereotype that working class people tend to be hardworking, similar to Fish Tank, where working class people tend to live. Social realism films tend to be shot in natural light, so it makes the film appear as realistic as possible to the audiences. The lack of artificiality in Fish Tank offers a clear sense of realism clarity, meaning that therefore the audience will feel a greater sense of connection with the film's storyline and characters. This increases personal identity. In this shot, the shadows connote that the problems of young people who live in the highly lighted areas, which the council states, and links them with the things such as crime and drugs. This is stereotypical as crime is associated with the people in the working class. This is conventional for a social realism drama to highlight the social issues of society of which Reflux and Fish Tank meet. Likewise, in Reflux, the lighting is natural to connote the organic nature of the film. It also makes the viewer feel uncomfortable as it contrasts the sense of bleakness and highlights themes such as pressure and loneliness. Both titles use white writing in order to connote the dominant ideologies shown in the film, such as the innocence of the working class because the white connotes purity. In Fish Tank, it has the white writing against the black background to foreshadow Mia's, who's the main character's longing to break free from her social circle and the area she lives in. In Reflux, the writing is against a brick wall to connote an urban environment and the ideology that he blends in and is rejected by his own family. The costumes depend on the social group that is presented within the film. If presenting youth in British social realism, the costume will most likely be tracksuits and trainers. This is clearly what Mia is wearing, which is part of the chav stereotype of the working class, which has extremely negative connotations. This type of clothing is chosen as it immediately gives the audience the impression that the wearer is involved with criminal activity, such as drugs or aggressive violence, and this stereotype has been repeatedly enforced in the 21st British social realist films such as Bullet Boy and Adulthood. Likewise, in Reflux, Ethan wears a similar clothing, and in particular the use of a hooded jacket acts as a further representation of a reckless and violent youth within the working class, as it is used to represent gang culture. With the hood over his head and the jacket, it also connotes that the character is shady and dangerous, as they are attempting to conceal themselves from society. However, this is not always the way in which characters will be presented through the use of costume. Women, for example, presented in less clothing often show their vulnerability as a group, or to present them as those who are exploited due to their desperation.